What we have here is a little John Deere LA that we pulled from a field in Vernal, Utah. Um, this is in the Uinta Basin, near the Colorado border. The history of the tractor is unknown. It's hard to tell when the last time the tractor drove, but when we picked it up, we talked with some of the neighbors, and we guessed that the last time it ran was back in the early 1980s. So basically, the tractor's been sitting for about 40 years, and I tried to capture a few of the moments of the restoration process and share them in these video clips, so I hope you enjoy. I took all the body panels off this little LA, started tearing into the engine a little bit. Haven't taken the head off. I took the carburetor off today and cleaned it out really good. It's over here. It was pretty rusted in there, but I cleaned out all the passageways with some little files and some little some stiff wire. Got that all cleared out. That should work fine today. Now, here's the engine. I just took off the manifold, and then I took off the this little cover to see the valves. And we noticed when we took the body, the grill off, you turn the crankshaft. I mean, you can basically spin it by hand, and it'll just spin over. There's no compression, so we thought the valves were stuck. When I took stuff apart, and sure enough, you can see that this exhaust valve right here is stuck open, and this one right here, the lifter's up right now, but if I turn it a little bit more, I'll turn it back. Oh, come on. Oh, there it goes. It just fell down. So this exhaust valve stuck up, and this one's stuck up. The two intake valves, they go up and down. So right now, I'm going to take off the head, and we'll see what we're working with. Okay, just took these bolts out, the head bolts. Haven't lifted up the head yet, but it's loose, I think. Yeah, it's loose. Okay, here we go. You can see there's a lot of rust in the water jacket. But there's those two valves that are stuck. There's the head. Set down. But there's the pistons. Right here, let's see. So I don't know if you can. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can definitely feel. It's not huge, but you can feel a lip there. Here, piston rings. Same with there. It's kind of that way all the way around. So anyway, as you can see, this we've removed the engine from the little LA. Frame is lots of dirt and grime down there, just sitting underneath on these cross members. But getting it stripped down. The engine is sitting right over here. So you can see in there, you haven't removed the valves or anything. We've just taken it off, flipped it upside down, and I'm actually going to be measuring those connecting rod bearings, and then also I'm going to be removing these main caps, the front and rear, and then I'm going to be measuring those bearings. Got my micrometers here. Oops. We're going to use this guy. Oops, excuse me. That's 0 to 1. We're going to use this guy, the 1 to 2 inch micrometer. We're going to measure all of those and see how everything measures out. Here we go. Before I take the crankshaft out, I wanted to just make a quick video. The block is sitting here on the bench upside down. So here we have the cam gear. This is your crankshaft with your crank gear. And then this is just an idler gear that runs your Magneto. There's no timing mark on that because to set the timing on the Magneto, I looked in the book, all you really do is you put the number 1 piston, which is this one right here, looking down in the bore. Take your number 1 piston right here. I've got a shim back there that dropped when I took this off. But there's your number 1 piston at the front of the engine. Put it at top dead center, which is right about there. And when you have that piston set at top dead center, you orient the Magneto. You look at where the Magneto is supposed to be, the rotor and the Magneto, and then you stick it in the engine. Then you turn the engine over. You look through this little window right here in the bell housing at the flywheel, and there should be the word spark written on the flywheel, and that should spark when that passes. Your Magneto should spark, your number 1 spark plug. So I just pulled the crankshaft out. You can see my front bearing, my rear bearing. You can see this rear bearing, it has a lip on the front. So it has this surface right here, which also acts as a, I'm guessing like a kind of a forward aft, kind of like a thrust bearing on the crankshaft. But there's the cylinders. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to measure all the journals on this crankshaft, the mains and the rods, and see what they are. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, we're in the process of putting this little engine on this little LA back together. The engine's upside down right now. We just put the oil pan on, put the head gasket on yesterday, now we're working on it, putting the oil pan on. We're about ready to put the flywheel in place. There's the flywheel down there. With this little engine, we had to rebuild it. Finding oversized pistons for this is impossible, so we talked to our machinist here, and he was able to re-sleeve the engine, and then we just, he sleeved the engine, bored it out and put some sleeves in it, and then bored it out to the correct diameter, and now we're able to use the same pistons, and everything should be nice and tight. We also redid the valves because one of the valves was stuck open, but now we got all new valve springs and new valves and tappets and everything, tappet lifters and everything like that. But so yeah, we're in the process of putting this back together, and then after we put that flywheel on, we can take the engine and set it back here right where it goes, and that'll be good. Here's something else you should be aware of if you have a little LA that you're planning on restoring. These radiators are also very expensive to find replacements for. We were able to talk to the radiator shop here in the valley, and he was able to get a copper core here, and was able to, right now everything is just tacked in place. We're going to make sure everything fits, and then after that we're going to take it back to him, and he's going to finish soldering everything else back together. However, these are not cheap. I think the total cost on getting this radiator in good working order was about $600. So that's a huge price to pay if you're just expecting to be able to flush your radiator out and use it. This is not cheap, but you have to have it. And now it's nice to know that you have a good, clean, flowing radiator to keep our new engine over there nice and cool. We just lifted the engine in. Everything's in place. Now we can start reassembling. We're working this morning to put the engine of this little LA back together. We are just putting pieces back on and painting as we go, cleaning and painting, final cleaning, I guess. Anyway, we have just put the Magneto on this morning and timed that, and I'll show you that. So if you look inside this hole right here, if I've got it positioned so that it's just about to go, and you'll see the word spark in there. Let's see if I turn the engine over. And what you'll want is you'll want the, right when the word spark shows up, you'll want, oh, did you see that? It just clicked. So there's spark. Here, Dad, move that over a little bit so you can, there you go. See where it says spark down in there? I'll back it up a quarter turn. And then I'll push it back forward. And you want to hear that Magneto click right when it says spark. And that's how you know you got it timed right. Oh, here it comes. It's showing up. There you go. So we'll put a few more pieces on and maybe we'll try to start it here in a bit.
Okay, it's probably been, oh heavens, I would think even 40 years since this has run. Now we're going to try it. I don't have the radiator on yet. We're just going to see if it'll fire up. Choke.
Hey!
Shut it off.
No problem.
But the governor isn't working. Oh. It started.
Got the radiator on it today. My dad started it yesterday, and the governor linkage down here where it connects, something was sticking because
Racing.
Yeah, the engine was just kind of racing really high RPM. So we're gonna put it back together today. Hopefully it should work a little bit better. We're gonna try it out. Clutch works. Idle's really nice. This is just a starting tank that we have strapped to a ladder here. Our oil pressure. Disconnect that battery. There it is. There's our throttle. Just gonna idle it up. Pull this back. Put that up. adjust the throttle here. Goes into the governor here. The throttle connects here into the governor, and then the governor right here connects to the throttle of the tractor. Just hit the...
So you can just push that in, it just cuts the gas off.
Yeah.
See, but look, it takes a while for that to go down, so it's tight.
Yeah, all your bearings and stuff are nice and tight. But it runs good.
Yeah.
We'll just put the sheet metal back on it. And then we'll have to go drive it around for the first time. Okay, we just got done messing around out in the snow with the Model D. But now we're coming inside. Now we're going to make a video of this little LA we're putting together today. Step one, I guess the only step today is start putting sheet metal on it. So we'll see how this goes. Start with the bottom piece, maybe then the grill, and then the hood. We'll see if that works. We got the hood, the grill, and that lower, I don't know what you want to call that fairing or valance. Got it all put together. Now we're just doing up all of the tons of screws. Got a couple right here that we need to still put in, but everything else got to line up. We got the fuel line hooked up. So, yeah. I'm going to put that back fender on, and then we can probably start it and drive it. We've never moved this before. That's not reverse. There's reverse. Look at this. Low gear.
high gear. This is low gear. See if I can go over this thing. I don't think I can. Watch out, here I go. Wow. Okay. We drove it a little bit. We're going to check the fluids and change the fluids in the rear differential now. And I shut the fuel off, so it should die here pretty soon. Wow. That's cool.